Hello there, wonderful world of social media. Ladies and gentlemen, it's yours truly, Jimmie Williams again. I'm back with another informative video and hope you guys take a moment just to sit down and listen to what I got to say. I think it'll be really encouraging to you and your family and your loved ones. I want to just pour my heart into you for about 5 or 6 minutes, 7 minutes tops. I always say that, right? But it ends up being longer than that. But I think today's message is going to really prick your spirit and encourage you and stir you up. And if you know, part of you have died through, when I say die, I mean, you feel your dreams have died and in your spirit you're depressed and you're down because of this pandemic and you've lost a lot. That's what I want to speak to and speak life to it and to tell you something that I hardly ever say out loud, but I say it every day to myself, to me and my wife. I'm going to tell it to you. And the word for today is do not quit. Don't cave in. Don't let the enemy and don't let bad circumstances and situations cause you to stop and let you fall short of your destiny that the Most High intended for your life. You cannot quit. You cannot stop because remember, there's a war going on in this earth realm. It's good and evil. It's negative and positive energy. Whether you want to believe it or not, there's a real Father in heaven, right? And there's a real enemy out there in the unseen realm. And it's a war. It's a war, and you have to pick a side. When you get on the Most High side, Christians say on the Lord's side, right? You got to stick with him till the end. If you're on the bad side, then you need to stick on that side, right? And no matter what you do, you're going to reap exactly what you sow. So again, let me just circle back. Don't quit, because if you don't quit, you're going to reap. Okay, there's a reward for standing the test of time. All right. I'm going to share my personal stories with you. I'm going to give you 2 stories. And it's reality. It sounds like a story now because I've been through it, but it's a reality that my wife and I went through, and it's going to encourage you and uplift you, hopefully, all right? I'm not just talking here. I actually went through these things that I'm going to tell you, and I can tell you that it was the darkest days, some of the darkest times of my life. One was even more recent here. And I had to pull through it. I'm no exception to the rule. The forces of darkness hate anything positive, any positive energy, any person that's going to come into the world, bring light to the world. You have an adversary, okay? Some say it's the devil. In the Bible calls him Satan, the enemy, whatever you want to call it. But he's there. He's real. His minions are real. His people are real. His circumstance, the things that he puts you up against is real. But who's greater than him is the Almighty Father in heaven. I call him Yahuwah, because, I'm a Hebrew. Christians say God, but he's all powerful, and you have to abide by his laws and principles to get through this thing. You can't bypass him and expect to win. That's even in the business world. You may have business people that are prospering, they're doing it on their own, but without him, they'll eventually fail. I'm going to show you and tell you the right way to do it, and I'm going to show you what we did to get what we got, all right? I'm on a time frame here. I've already talked maybe 2 or 3 minutes, so let's start with the first story. Back in 2014, very, very dark time for me. Very, very dark time for me and my wife. We had gotten married 3 years before. I've been with her since 2009 is when we met. And in 2011, we got married. We moved to Florida, okay, because we were both in ministry. We were both missionaries. We felt we were called to go and serve this church that was in the South. It was in a small town called Palm Bay, Florida. You guys know where it's at if you're familiar with Melbourne. It's about an hour and a half west of Orlando. But we went there and we gave up everything to go down and serve in this ministry. And the ministry, we were there almost 7 days a week. I was ministering on Wednesday nights sometimes. My wife was ministering, on Friday nights to the youth. And we would go and clean up the church with the pastor and his wife and, the pastor, the bishop, pardon me, and his wife were there. I think I said that backwards. No, it was actually the bishop the woman was the bishop. The husband was the pastor, the co-pastor. Nevertheless, we were there serving in the ministry, giving up everything that we had, and I wasn't even working a 9 to 5 because I felt that they were going to take care of us and all that, which was agreed upon. They let us stay in a little cottage on their property. And a few months into that, it turned into a horrible nightmare. It was a nightmare. I mean, it was a very controlling ministry. They tried to tell me how to think, when to talk, and how high to jump. And me being a man, and try to, influence my wife to be, their slaves in so many words. Not physical slave, if you know what I mean, like in, what we went through centuries ago, but mental slave. And there's a form of slavery even in ministries today, where, forget about your husband, forget about God, just serve me, and you're good. And that was wrong, and I took a stand. And when I took a stand, all hell broke loose, guys. All hell broke loose. All right? It was one of the darkest things I've ever been through. And so what I did was I told her, I said, listen, you and I have to get out of here. Men, if you're out there, kings, you have to lead your queen. You have to lead her, but, they're not going to just follow anything. You have to lead the way the word talks about leading. And you guys saw my other video. I talked about Ephesians chapter 5, men. Go read that about how to treat your wives and how to lead your wives, okay? So I told her we got to get out of here. So I went and got a job, and it got worse. The people got upset at me because I got a job, started working and taking care of my wife, and we eventually got out of their little property that they had. We got our own apartment, and it got darker and darker. It seems like the forces of darkness got worse. Then my father got sick, very, very sick. And I went to them and I said, listen, my dad's really, really sick. I need to take some time off. I need to go home because I think he's dying. And he was dying. He had cancer. And they mocked me, thought I was lying. And so then I knew I said, Arlene, told my wife, Queen, we got to leave this place. This is a wicked set of people here. You can be in ministry and still be in the devil's camp. In other words, all ministries are not operating under the word of the Most High. And this is before we woke up to who we were. But you can be in a place you think's right and that place is wrong. So we didn't sleep. We almost divorced over it. We almost divorced over that. They got between our marriage and got upset because I was trying to provide for my wife, and my wife had started working too, and they just kept dividing us. And so finally, my father had gotten really, really ill. It was 2014. Mind you, I was working at eBay. Okay, eBay had at the time a big division in Palm Bay, Melbourne area. And I would go into the office, and work some days. Some days I worked from my laptop. And that was my last real job I had. I left them in 2016. But I was working there. I was working, she was working. And we had so much against us. And we couldn't even pay our bills. I mean, our rent was always late. For about 8 months, we had an eviction notice on the door. About 8 months in a row. I had to go down there every time and talk to the people in the office and say, hey, listen, we're working on it. We're going to do our best to get you the money. And it was a very horrifying situation to both of us working. We're still not cutting the mustard. We're paying the rent, late. And I had a car at the time. I had a Jaguar, one of the older Jaguars. That car broke down on me. So I basically almost had to catch the bus to work when I had to work in the office. So thank the Most High, I was working home most of the time. But long story short, we weren't cutting the mustard. We were about to be evicted. We were evicted for 8 months in a row. The Most High found a way to keep us in there until we actually had to leave. And here's something interesting happened. Because we refused to quit, we put the Most High to the test. His word, man, you got to stand on his word, okay? He says, if you give, it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together. He'll cause men to give into your bosom. That was the principle we stand on. My wife and I were always givers. We gave our lives to the ministry, and we were working practically for free at the church, right, at the time. And, because we gave everything from our heart, we put a demand on him to take care of us. See, if you're not his child, you can't make these kind of demands. People say, well, God will help those that help themselves. Well, if you're truly his and you sow and you're a giver, it will come back to you. If you're not, that doesn't apply to you. So I don't know who made up that lie, right? So we made a demand, Father, we need your help. And at that time, when we were about to be evicted, my father had just died, so I had to go all the way back home, which is like 2 or 3 hours from where I was at the time. I'm from a small town called Lake Butler, so I had to go back there to see my dad, to go and bury my dad. At that time, I met another apostle. She was a really good friend of mine. And she said, Jimmie, I want you to come to Orlando. There's a pastor there, and he needs help pastoring his church. She said, I know you're an apostle, but he needs your help. I went there. She took me over there. The gentleman offered me, listen to this, guys. He said, Jimmie, I have an Audi A6, a very nice one, fully loaded, really nice car. It's probably 2002, I think it was. something like that. It was 2005. Very nice, fully loaded and everything. He said, I'll let you, he said, that car is about $3,000, but I'll charge you only $300 a month to take it. You can drive it today back home. This car was really, really nice. And then the apostle who took me there said to me, Jimmie, you know, I have a house. I want you and your wife to live in it. Just pay me $600 a month. Now, this was a very nice house in Palm Bay, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, nice yard and everything, in a pretty nice upscale neighborhood. So for $900 a month, which our rent at the little small apartment, the 1-bedroom that we got evicted from, was about $1,100 a month. We got a house and a car for less than $1,000 per month. And she said, you know, you don't have to worry about paying me anything more than that. That's all I need from you. And the pastor said, all I need is $300 a month, and we're good. So at that moment, we realized that the Father made an impossible situation possible. He took us from where we were, which was a down, depressed place, and lifted us up. Okay, because of his word. His word does not lie. And so I was able to go in and bury my father. I was able to drive that Audi back home. And people thought I was rich. And I was like, no, I'm far from it, but I'm blessed. He took me from that horrible situation. Oh, and by the way, my wife and I left that ministry that same day. They disrespected me. They didn't honor, my father. And they started treating my wife like she was, like she was just the help. Because I had left that ministry like a few weeks before all this happened. She was still there, and she made the decision to leave. And he gave us the victory. He'll give you the same victory. Some of you saying, well, that's a long time ago. That just, Jimmie, I need something more relevant, that's more pertaining to me today. Well, let's try 2018, 2019, 2020. Maybe that's more relevant for you. Guys, you guys hear me talk about this all the time. I started all these companies, fail, right? Kept trying. Well, let me just back up to 2018 when we moved up here from Florida. We moved up here from Florida, lived with a friend here. Really good friend of ours, very sweet. She's a prophet, minister. And we started our businesses. Many of you know this about me because I started the big Facebook group with all the followers with real estate. I was doing free coaching and mentoring, but we weren't really making any money at that time. So 2019 rolls around. I started a mentoring program. I started mentoring and coaching and all that, which was a paid membership. So we made a little money that year. 2019, think about that. We made about $30,000, $35,000, my wife and I, with our companies. Wasn't a really good year. Then 2020 comes around. Pandemic hits very heavy, right? We call upon the Father again. Father, this cannot work. We cannot live. Some of you, if you're single by yourself, $30,000 may cut it. But when you have I have a wife, I have to take care of her, and I didn't like the idea of living with someone else and all that. I wanted my own property, I wanted my own home. I'm teaching real estate, and I kept experiencing failure and all that. And I had to come to Atlanta and learn a new city and learn how to, contact the investors and the lenders and understand the system of how to prosper and have your own here, But again, you can't do it without Yahuwah, without the Father blessing you, opening doors for you. But that's only predicated on you continuing to have faith in him. When you're on the precipice of your destiny, you got to understand that you cannot do it by yourself. You need him to help you get there. And you have to use everything around you. Use your mind or you're going to work your behind. You got to use your brain. You got to use everything that he put in your hands to prosper. And that's what we did. So having said all that, at the end of 2019, going into 2020, we put a demand on the Most High. We said, Father, we're your children. We give. Somebody has helped us. They took us into their home. Now it's time for us to have our own place. We believe in you for a greater year in the midst of a pandemic. And I know you can do this for us. Well, we started several other programs. I started helping. My wife and I started a couple other companies. We started about 8 businesses in 2020, guys. And here was the key to it. We said in our hearts that, Father, you bless us. We're going to bless people. We helped probably 75 people get PPP loans and EIDL loans and business loans, all types of loans based on good credit, property loans to buy property. And man, it was a glorious year in a time of darkness when there was nothing there, and we were down and, in the dumps ourselves that year before. Remember, here's the key: when you're down and you have nothing, That's the time to really dig in and seek his face, and don't quit on your dream. Long story short, we get to the end of 2020. We bought the house we're in today. Property was about $260. That was 8 months ago. Okay? This property's went up in value about $40,000. It has $40,000 in equity since we've been here. But here's the kicker. I sat down with my tax lady, you know, she's really, really good, my CPA. She said, Jimmie, I'm looking at all of your businesses here, and it looks like you guys made about $500,000 in revenue. 2019, $30,000. 2020, $500K, 8 companies. There's nothing special about me, guys. When you look at failure in the dictionary, you might find my name there. Because that's failure is one of the key ingredients to get to success. You cannot bypass it. Don't let anybody tell you you can. But if you go to the part where it says in the dictionary, that same dictionary, where you find the word perseverance, okay, resilience, okay, you're going to find my name there too. My wife and I. If there was such a word as refusal to quit, because there's 3 words in one, you're going to find our name there. We refuse to quit. So we went from $30,000 to over 10 times as much in 2020, over $500,000. Some people are going, well, that's a joke. That's not real. I'm going to post a snapshot so you can see it. You can do this. You have to make up in your mind that quitting will not be on the table. It's not an option. That's what we did. We trusted him. We believe his word. His word says, if you give, it shall be given. Last year, we ended up giving about $60,000 to $70,000 to family members, to other ministries, to other businesses. You know, we have a passion to help, to give grants and things of that nature to small business, minority businesses and things of that nature, you know, black-owned businesses. I mean, we give to everyone, but I'm just saying, you know, to some of my students, and I give bonuses and things of that nature. We gave that much last year, guys, because we understand that principle of giving. In closing, when you refuse to quit on something, you have to remain positive and keep an open mind. You can't become a stingy, selfish person. You still have to operate under the laws of the kingdom. There are certain laws that you have to abide by in his kingdom, or it doesn't work. So we don't take the credit for it. We know we obeyed him and we got what his word said. We gave and it was given back to us. Doors were open. This house we're in now, one of my students got us in this house. One of my real estate students, she became a broker, you know, and she knew ways to get us in a house. You know, it was like a lease to own type property. That's how we had to come in here and buy this property. You know, because our credit was less than perfect. But again, the point circles back to the Most High. You abide by his principles, you keep his laws, and understand that when you operate with him, there is no failure in him ultimately. You're going to fail, but he has never failed. He's never lost a fight. But you are in the flesh. You're a human being. You make mistakes. You know, and some of our failures are produced from the bad decisions we've made in the past. You don't just wake up one day and you're just successful and all the things you did wrong are just automatically blotted out. No, you have to live by the law of sowing and reaping. The stuff you do that you shouldn't be doing, it's going to eventually catch up with you. Me and Arlene made some bad decisions, guys. Even when we decided back in the day to go to that ministry that gave us the oppression and the rejection and we ultimately almost divorced, if we had rethought that, we probably wouldn't have went there. But again, when you do persevere, you go through and you have all the problems and the issues and you're tested. You put in that fire and you have to burn until you become pure gold. You know, those are some things in life that are not avoidable. You can't escape them. You can make better decisions, but ultimately there's going to be tests no matter what you do. And even though those tests that we went through with that first trial was avoidable, we were glad that we went through it. We wouldn't change nothing. The second test we went through, I don't think there was anything we could do about it because we had sown the wrong things before. We were trying to reinvent ourselves and come back. Do better. Make wiser decisions. If you guys look at my other video, I talk about wisdom is the principal thing. Seek wisdom. James chapter 1, verse 5. If you don't have it, in the word tells you, ask the Most High and he'll give it to you liberally. He won't uphold it from you. But don't quit. Don't quit. You're right there. Okay? Expand your mind. Expand your mental dexterity. The word dexterity means, you know, you can use both hands Well, use both sides of your brain. Use the top side and the bottom side. Use all of it. Being funny there, but I'm really telling you, maximize what you have. Maximize every gift and ability that he gave you. And find ways to solve problems for other people. That's what entrepreneurs do. All right? And don't quit, because there's going to be times where it gets very, very dark. In fact, my wife and I are still going through some things right now. And one of the things I found that helps me is when I minister to you guys about my past experiences of success. It takes my mind off my problem, and I'm sowing the seed into you so you can be blessed. Keep it going. Pay it forward, right? Let's do it. I'm excited about today. I'm excited about your life. And if you have a story you want to share or you want to be on my show, you know, it's called Revitalizing the Entrepreneur Spirit. I want to talk to you. I always want people to come on who have a vibrant spirit and positive, and you've been through some things in life and you want to share them with us. I have a whole audience who wants to hear it. As I always say, I'll see you at the top, because we're going to get there together, okay? Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.